Hey, what's up guys? Steven, the Salon Guy here, and welcome to the Salon Guy on Demand. Now today I've got Andrew with me, and Andrew is going to be a live model, and I'm doing a haircut on Andrew. And I'm gonna break down what I'm doing, the techniques, the methods, and I'm ready to go. Let's get started. All right guys, so we're gonna start with Andrew's hair, and we're gonna start in the back here. Now, we're gonna be doing a transition from a number 2 guard, and I'm using an Oster clipper. And as you can see, here's the detachable number 2, which is my go-to for my clipper cutting, and he pretty much has a disconnected haircut in through here. So, which means that this is obviously longer, and it's disconnected because it's not connected to this, or in our terms, it's not blended, all right? But what happens is when you slick this back, because this is disconnected here, it allows us to kind of slick back a lot easier, where it's really removing the weight in through here, okay? So what we're gonna do is look down a little bit here. I'm gonna start with the number 2 guard, and that's gonna be kind of the foundation and the base length for how we're gonna start this. And what I'm doing is this is pretty simple, is I'm starting to get rid of all the hair down here and building kind of my base of where the hair is gonna start its taper, all right? And what I like to do is I like to comb the hair into the clippers, which I think really helps out a lot, because a lot of times you see people flicking out like this, but what happens is it's not 100% even, all right? It's tough to get it 100% even. So what I do, I actually build a weight line right here like this, and I push the hair into the comb, into the clipper like that. And what that does is it gives me a really solid, even kind of weight line here that I know I can see exactly where I need to get rid of the weight in that line. That's where I need to blend it in. I think that works best for me, in my opinion. Now, Andrew also has a little bit of a swirl here on his hairline, which means if the hair grows up, all right, you go up like this, okay, you might not get those hairs. So what you gotta do is come on the opposite side like this, on top, and push the clippers downwards like this. So the hair goes up, to cut it, you gotta push down that way. And this is a unique scenario here. It's definitely a hairline that you don't always see, but you have to know how to take it on when you do. And now look, even on this side here, his hair grows over this way. So if the hair grows over, you gotta like go across or go the opposite way of how it grows so you get those hairs. All right, because if I just went like this is gonna be a lot longer, even though it might not look it, but I know it's gonna be longer when as I'm cutting and as it grows out, okay? So you really wanna take note to all that stuff. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna focus just on this side right here as of now. So I'm taking the number 2, and again, I'm working my way up the head shape, and I'm not going all the way up. I'm not flicking out like that, because I wanna make sure that I'm building a solid kind of guide or weight line right through here, so that I know, okay, this is the next step of where I need to blend this. So I'll go to about right here around the ear. What I like to do, pull the ear down and watch, see how you comb down like that? That's a great way to get rid of those hairs right around the ear area. And that's where the comb and the method of pushing the hair into the clipper really works well. Again, holding the ear down like this, and especially over here, these hairs like to kind of grow around. So pull the hair and work the clippers in a variety of ways to make sure you get those hairs. So after I'm done, and through here, you want to make sure that this all kind of connects. Even if it comes down on a little bit of an angle, you want to make sure it all has a nice flow to the whole thing. Again, moving the hair out of the way, combing it constantly, so this has a nice flow where it kind of works down in through here. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to do just this side first, and we're going to do the other side off camera, but now I'm switching to a 3.5 guard right here. And what I'm doing now is I'm going to do the same exact technique where I'm pushing the hair into the clippers, just like this. I'm not doing any of the flickering or anything or flipping up this way, because I just feel that just doesn't create a balanced, it creates a lot more work for me to do afterwards. Where here, I'm seeing everything right in front of me instead of having to guess and use 15 different machines. Now again, this is just the way I do it. All right, now if I do any sort of flickering, I'm not flicking out this way because, again, that to me does not make it even. All right, so again, I just work up the head shape and go level, kind of step by step and level by level. And that's the best way that I think this looks. So as you can see, we're working up. And what I'm going to do next is switch to a 3 3¾ guard, which as you can see, clip that right on right there. And now we're gonna, remember, we're only working up this point, this part right here where the hair is disconnected from the top. And working upwards. Then when we get to the back, we're gonna have to do a little more scissor over comb. Now, I always end up doing scissor over comb regardless because you wanna make sure that you have, I feel it gives a nice softer touch doing scissor over comb. And that's kind of essential when you're cutting hair, especially, you know, any sort of men's haircuts. You always wanna do a combination of scissor over comb and clippers. That to me really, really makes it a much smoother, more polished look. So see what I'm doing is I'm locking my comb in and I'm just making sure that the top hair is out of the way. And here is where I'm working up this way. And as you can see, I'm not flicking out. I'm basically going up the head shape like this. So it keeps it more balanced because I know I want this to be short. So I'm gonna blend this in by hand. So I already know that I'm gonna blend this area right into here, okay? So now I'm going to leave this last part right here to do by hand. This part was previously blended in. So that means now I gotta work this in with the clippers and then work it in by hand, okay? So you wanna keep a good balance and follow the path of where this is going. Okay, you always wanna make sure that you have a direction of where everything is kind of leading to. You don't wanna cut this all the way over here, have this blended. Everything has to have a nice solid flow to it. So this is where the scissor over comb work really comes in. And also for the head shape too, you wanna leave this nice and balanced right in through here. So this allows for this to have a little bit of length right in through here too. So from the side profile, it really creates a nicer look. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to do some scissor over comb and I'm going to soften this up right into here and then work this into the back. So now what we're doing is I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom here just because I feel you can always soften up any sort of area when using clippers. And I'm just going to lightly do any sort of blending by hand that's needed because I feel that no matter what, softening it with scissors, I feel sometimes gives it like a much better look as it grows out, a little more natural. And then we're going to work this up the head shape. Now what I'm doing is I'm simply just using my fingers or my thumb like this to blend everything in. Just trying to mostly use the thumb right in through here. And it takes some practice. And it's okay if you know, I see a lot of guys chomping down this way. I'm guilty of doing that sometimes. But this is really the main technique. And as you can see, he's got a little bit of a swirl right in through here. So again, you want to push down that way. And now I'm putting my comb on an angle to make sure I can cut this in a variety of ways and make sure this is really blended in and nice all throughout the sides. And sometimes you have to like comb the hair or cut the hair on different angles, you know, come in over this way, then come back over this way. It's really, really, I think the key to good hair cutting, especially with guys, is being very versatile and coming at it from different angles. All right, that's really, really essential, is coming at it from different angles. Now we're gonna work our way up again, right into this area, right through here, and this is just giving it a nice soft kind of taper right to that line of demarcation. And again, we're doing this by hand because the hair he has on top, we're leaving it a little bit longer, and also because this part in the back right here, we want to make sure that it does connect nicely. All right, guys, so what we're going to do now is we're going to transition into this area right into here. And again, I'm going to push this out of the way, but now I'm going to work up the head shape here and connect this part right in through here. All right, making sure it all blends in. So you have to do some work as far as your comb and your scissors and keeping them all kind of connected, but also working that cut into the shape. All right, so you're not going to be going as close as you did in through this area. So you're lifting the comb out a little bit further, but keeping in mind that you are transitioning from a shorter to longer look. So now the same thing in the back. I tend to usually cut scissor over comb when it's dry because I feel like when the hair is wet, you don't really see anything. Like you can't see, because it's so wet, the hair's going to lay different. When it's dry, you can really, really get a good instant reaction from the hair, and everything kind of shows when it's dry. So 95% of the time, I'm doing scissor over comb when it's dry, okay? So we want to make sure this really is worked in nicely. Where I will start to incorporate more water is when we're getting to this longer part right in through here, which we're doing now. And also keep in mind, you want to lift your comb out towards you more, obviously the longer you want it. So that's really essential as well. So I'm going to do a little more scissor over comb action, and then when I'm done, now mind you again, we're only doing this one side first right in through here. I did go back in with the clipper and get rid of all this and Andrew's hair here, just so it's more balanced for my own purposes while I'm cutting this. But now we're going to kind of focus in this area right in through here. So now that we've blended the back, we have to now connect the back to the top middle back. And as you can see, what I'm doing here is I'm actually pulling the hair straight out from the head. I'm doing palm to palm, and I'm combing at the same time. Combing and cutting really is essential, and it really allows you to see the true shape and the way the hair is laying down. And now I'm just working up the back of the head. As you can see here, I'm not going to the very top of the head. I'm still working where the hair grows. And this is also very important in case somebody has calyx. And as you can see here, what's really important is that you comb it and you look, and you want to make sure you can see that it's really has a nice flow and it really blends, has a nice shape to it right there. So I'm going to turn them back around a little bit, and I'm going to continue this method now through the entire back. And you want to do this to really, really go the extra mile and make sure it's all blended. You can do it scissor over comb if you want, but I feel doing it by hand this way really, really makes the haircut stand out. And this is really, again, if you have a calic, you don't want to cut it too short. And this is really where it's going to save you by pulling it straight out at a 90-degree angle. And also the hair will then, it'll jump out at you. Now here I am doing scissor over comb just a little bit. I always like to do that just for if I see any sort of lines or anything. I do like to just do a little bit of scissor over comb by hand. But as you can see, it's got a really nice blend to it. And I'm going to continue on the other side. Now here is where we're connecting the corners now. Now remember, the side here was disconnected, but we have to kind of work in that back area, and this is where that comes in. So we have to keep the length, but we also have to connect the two together. So I'm simply over directing to the back, and I'm combing and now cutting over the top of my fingers so I can really get a good hand positioning and body position. And now I'm working towards the top middle back of the head. This is where everything's going to start connecting, is through this area. And this is where you can really see how the hair is laying. Now, here's another scenario that I see often is when in a previous haircut, sometimes a hairstylist will have it choppy, as you can see in through here. It won't be even. They might use clippers to cut it. They're not doing it very precisely, and you'll have even gaps almost in through the areas where it's longer, shorter. So right in the middle, it's a little bit longer, and we're going to fix that. So we're going to comb it straight down like this into our hands, and simply we're going to cut like a one-length haircut just like that. As you can see, I'm combing straight down and creating a straight, solid line. And what that's going to do, it's going to thicken up the shape. It's not going to be, this also really helps the way the hair lays on top. because if it's uneven, it's not going to lay right, and the client is going to have a lot of problems. You can see we're creating a much stronger line and stronger shape right in through here, and now we're going to work into the very, very front, and we're going to snip that off right there. But here's another area that really is important. Now, see, the front is a little bit longer there, or shorter, and that's common too sometimes. People cut the front shorter than the rest of the hair, and that's also an issue. Sometimes you can't do so much, and you have to let it grow, but trying to balance it out really is going to make a difference. As you can see, has a really nice flow to it, and it really looks great when you comb it back, and that's what you're looking for. Now what we're going to do is we're going to actually connect the top part of the haircut, and this is really the key part of the shape working into the top. Is you want to have these layers so it lays better, so it's not so heavy, and all we're doing simply is connecting that back part that we cut before into the top. And I always do this cutting towards the face to make sure that everything has a nice blend. Again, we're trying to just blend and really connect, and I'm just taking off a little bit, and this is all about connecting the shape moving forward, so it's much easier for the client when he is styling his hair. And all it's doing is following a pattern. And now I'm bringing it up from the side and the corner to make sure it's all connected as well. Everything's really about connecting. And once you connect the shape, it's really going to work a lot better for him. So now that we've finished that, we have to work towards the front and the very top. So now I'm going to hold everything straight up, and I'm going to cut horizontally, and I'm going to take my next section, I'm going to hold it straight up again, and cut horizontally. Not a lot's coming off, but what we're doing is we're actually just cleaning and making sure everything's connected, and really to make sure that it has a really good flow to the haircut. So we're kind of combing right down this middle panel right in through here, and now I'm going to just take off that little bit right in the very front to make sure it's all connected, and as you can see, it flows back nicely, and I'm just going to kind of cross-check by combing it towards the face, and now we have the corner. You can't leave out these corners. This is really essential. This is the corner. When you cut that, it's going to really allow it to lay a little better. All right, if you left that corner, it might not have as good of a flow, might be a little bit too heavy, and he will have a hard time styling it. A lot of times people skip this part, but even though it's just a little bit, as you can see, it flows back really nice, and he's going to really appreciate this when he's styling his hair at home. And as you can see, it's combing back really nicely and very easy, has a lot of nice shape, and the layers look great as well. So now what we're doing is we're just using the trimmers to trim up around the ears. As you can see, I'm pulling the ear down, and I'm just using the edger to just really shape it up a little bit. And now what we're going to do is just really clean that up, and then this is really a key part of the haircut, so you want to really take a lot of pride in what you're doing here. Now in the front of his hair here, he's got the sideburn, and there's some hair right in the front of it that you can clean up. Not everybody needs this, but if you see a little bit of it, then you can shape it up, and I'm following the natural hairline, as you can see in the back here, creating that sharp line. But as I'm working down, I'm taking note that, and I'm seeing that he's got a little more of a swirl right there, so I'm going to actually try to keep that natural hairline in the back to make it look natural as it grows out. So now I'm going to blow dry his hair, and depending on if you want to use product or not, I put a little of my sea salt spray in as a pre-styler, and the key thing here really is using your hands. All right, using your hands sometimes is the best tool. And I know you're probably watching this and saying, why is Steven talking and his mouth isn't moving? Well, because I had to do some voiceover work on this because the microphone had died when I was doing this. So I'm just doing some voiceover work. That's why my lips aren't moving. But your hands are really essential. All right, your hands are really essential to this whole thing. And as you can see, Andrew's hair is complete now, and I'm running my fingers through it, and it's got a really nice shape, and it flows back very nicely. He's got really thick hair, but because of those layers, because we remove the weight, it's allowing his hair to have a nice shape to it. And now, as you can see through the side here, again, I just faded up from a 1.5, worked my way up, blended it to that line, that disconnected part right there, then did it by hand. Again, doing it by hand at the end, really blended it in softly. And as you can see, the fade looks nice, but it has a really nice shape to it from the side profile. So it's disconnected and then blended in through here in the back. and it really has a nice soft flow. And as you can see, he's really going to appreciate this because it's got a really good taper, a really natural look. So as this grows out, he's really going to appreciate this. And a lot of work went into this, and your client will appreciate this when they're styling their hair. And also, you always want to take note of how the client looks from different angles, especially looking in the mirror. You always want to really pay attention to the tapering, the blend, and how the final look is. And I think Andrew's hair came out great. I hope you guys really enjoyed this. As you can see, his hair is a little bit longer there, about 4.5 to 5 inches. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time for more videos with the Salon Guy on Demand.